Yeah.
We're ready.
Let's just do it.
It's so much easier to teach first grade than do this.
Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to a fun one. We've been laughing for the last 30, 45 minutes trying to get ready for this. Hello and welcome back to the LFCS Talks podcast. My name is Troy Beyer, and I am here with two very special guests to have a very cool conversation about a topic that I think will be very valuable to a lot of our parents. The topic today is kind of based around the idea of what even happens in a classroom. What happens on a daily basis in a classroom from two of our veteran teachers. Kim, Pepin, you've taught everything. I'll let you kind of go through your biography.
Yes.
Yeah. Allie, you've taught 2 grades, but you've been here for 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have 2 very, very good teachers at our school, and they're going to walk through what it's like to teach at Literacy First and what level of deliberateness it takes to be a teacher here. So first and foremost, Kim, can you kind of introduce yourself, what you do currently, and a little bit of the history, all the jobs that you've had
all the
here,
jobs.
which is like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, just a couple.
Yeah.
Okay, so currently I'm an assistant principal at Liberty Academy, but I spent the last 16 years as a teacher. So I've taught in classrooms. I've taught kindergarten in 4th grade and 5th grade in a classroom, but K through 8, I taught PE and art for many years. So essentially I've taught from the littlest all the way to kindergarten, all the way up to 8th grade.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're currently the administrator at the Liberty Academy.
At Liberty Academy.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Allie, what do you do, or who are you? What's your full name? And then what do you do now, and what brought you to what you're doing now?
My name is Allie Senterfitt. I've been at the primary academy now for 10 years. I did 2 years in 2nd grade and then 8 years in 1st grade.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So diving into this topic of what actually happens in a classroom. So the idea of this is most parents that send their kids here, they know that this place is special. They know there's something different about what goes on here. But I wanted to give the 2 of you an opportunity to talk a little bit deeper about what you all do. So the first question that we were kind of chose to ask here is, why is teaching? Actually, we talk more about yourself. So why is teaching the profession that you guys chose? We'll start with Kim.
Okay, so for me, teaching is just because I had amazing teachers. There were some pivotal points in my life where school was my safe place, and there was a lot of teachers who poured into me tremendously. Specifically, 7th grade was a hard year for me, and the wonderful Mr. Keogh came alongside and just made me feel so safe at school and loved at school. And I just thought it was so cool that this grown man who could be doing anything, running a construction company,
right,
working in corporate business, doing anything, was just pouring into kids' lives and helping them. I just thought it was the most selfless job. It was like a ministry. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was just remarkable of a career to do. And I had so many people along my life do that. So I kind of just knew I would always be a teacher. I kind of knew it was my way of saying thank you, I guess, to my old teachers, to give back to the next generation. For me, I really enjoy being a teacher just to be present in those kids' lives.
Right.
I've been teaching, I taught 16 years, so I've kind of seen generations go through. And it's really cool to be a role model to these kids, to help them out. All of our teachers, there's a million other jobs our teachers could do. Our teachers they are smart, they are brilliant, they are leaders, they are kind, they are joyful, they are confident. Right. They could go get jobs doing anything they wanted in life. But to just stop your life and be a teacher and give back, I think for me, it's everything. It's brought me the most joy in life. And I've always said it's just my way of saying thank you. I can not tell Mr. Keogh and other teachers thank you enough. But my way of showing them how thankful I am is just being them to the next generation and hoping I can be that person for these kids.
Right. So to tangent off a little bit, you talked a lot about the joy and the happiness that teaching brings. Is it always easy?
It's not always easy. No, it's not. It's hard. It's hard because it's unpredictable.
Right.
You know, every day is different. It's not like a cubicle job where you go in and you know you have this report to fill out and these papers, or you know,
Right.
even a real estate job where it's this house and this, you know, circumstance. It's kids.
Yeah.
You have no idea what the next day is bringing. You have no idea what the next year is bringing. It's just
Right.
you're always on your toes. You're always thinking. So with that, it can be fun and it can be joyful, but it's downright hard.
Right.
It takes a lot of grit to get through it because you can only prepare so much. You really have no idea what's coming with kids.
Right. Yeah.
True. Very
Cool.
true.
So Allie, why is this what you chose? Why did you choose to be a teacher?
I always say that I was born to be a teacher. I always knew I was going to be a teacher ever since I was a little girl. It runs in my blood. My grandpa was a first grade teacher. And so ever since I was little, I always lined up my stuffed animals and pretended they were my students. I had like my whiteboard and my chalkboard. And so it was just something I always knew that was literally I was made to be a teacher. And I even saved, and they're still in my classroom, but I saved the little like stuffed animals that I used to play with as a kid. And I was like, I'm going to save this one day for my future students. And so now those stuffed animals are in my classroom and we use them as like reading buddies, and the kids love
so
them.
cool.
They're the Beanie Babies that are supposed to
I
be
feel like
worth
my,
a lot of money now.
yeah.
No.
I feel like my daughter has talked about them.
Yeah.
'Cause she had you a couple
So-
years ago. That's cool.
Yeah, I feel like now that I'm in it, I didn't really understand until now the generational impact that a teacher makes. And I think it's an honor to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And I always say that. You're with those kids 7 hours out of the day, and
Yeah.
it's a long day, and you become this tight little family. And you're walking them through a whole year of school,
Right.
and then you just have to let them go. And I think sometimes that's the hardest part is, okay, now you're ready for the next grade. But yeah, I would say it's an honor to be a teacher. It's not easy at all. It's hard, but it's worth it.
Awesome. So you're just getting to that point where you're starting to see some of your kids graduate high school, huh?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think they're in 11th grade this year. So next
Okay.
year they'll be in 12th grade.
Okay.
I
See.
think.
So
Yeah.
you haven't had
Yeah.
any actually graduate yet.
Not yet.
Okay. So 10 years because you were in second grade, then now the first
I
grade.
can't do the math, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they're juniors this year.
Okay, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. So we'll stick with you, Allie, from a very high level. So I mean, just you can. This is not granular, not getting into like super details, but from a high level, what does a day look like in your classroom?
Yeah.
From because I know you have typically daily routines, or do you just roll in and shoot from the hip? Like what is just from a high level? What is the organization that looks like on a daily level? Are different days different than others? Is Tuesday different than Wednesday?
Yeah.
What does the day look like?
So I would say, specifically speaking for first grade, you're taking these kids coming from a half-day kinder program. So you can
Yeah.
imagine you're trying to train their stamina in just being a full day
Yeah.
of school.
Yeah.
So even at the beginning of the year, I always tell the teachers, like, around lunchtime, the kids are going to grab their backpack and try to go home, when really you have to break the news to them that, oh no, it's just lunchtime. We still have more time left. So,
Like, wait, what?
So, but everything is really intentional. I say in first grade, we teach them how to read, how to write, and be good little humans.
Yeah.
So with that said, literally from the start, we have brain bins. Those are our STEM bins that the kids play with. It teaches them how to share, how to share and how to like be creative and build things. And yeah, all of that too is implemented through music. So through a playlist, and the kids come in based off of the song. It's a hype up song when they walk in, and then it's like a quieter song, and then a playlist song to clean up so the kids know. Everything is pretty ran smoothly.
So wait, hold on a second. So the music, that's a big thing around here, right? So how powerful is music? Why do you use it? What is the value to using music versus having a bunch of words all the time?
Yeah, there's a lot of purpose in music throughout the whole school day. But I would say too, for a teacher's standpoint, it's a teacher energy thing in the morning where you just have a made up playlist, and it brings the energy up. The kids know by the time this song is done, I have to have my backpack hung up and the lunch is on the cart. And then from there, I pick my brain bin and my group, and I start playing, and then my transition song is the Hobbit song,
Awesome.
obviously. And so then from there, it's just kind of like a quieter song. So it is this unspoken expectation
Right.
that they just know, okay, by this time, this is where it is, rather than my voice saying, okay, you guys should all be in your brain bins ready. Like, it's just a flow that is intentional, and it gives them ownership.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if and this works as parents as well, right? So us as parents that have those of us that have kids, right? The more we talk and chatter and like dripping faucet at our kids, a lot of times the less they listen to us.
It's true. Yeah.
However, it's shocking what happens when you turn over some responsibility to the kid and say, you know, even though you're the one hitting the play on the music, they know that this is my time to take responsibility for my own actions, and they just do the thing. It's very incredible as I go in out of different classrooms, because I'm all over the place, to see how responsive kids are to music and the different music, and they feel very independent in that they're like, oh, I know this song, oh, I know what to do, this is my job, and they feel very successful, and it's just kind of like it's great, and it also keeps your voice from getting burnt out.
It's true.
It
And
is,
I would
yeah.
say too, even like when I'm doing my writing, you know, when I'm passing out papers, when we're transitioning into writing, it's loud. It's like, okay, get your highlighter, your pencil, your paper. And the second I put on peaceful piano, they know they're setting up their little office space. We call them an office space. But by the time I hit play, the kids, like within 10 seconds, they're like, okay, I know what this is. It's not like, okay, you guys, quiet voices. It's like, it's like a soothing comfort to know I should be here and doing this. And they just know.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So the rest of the day or the rest of the week, like, is there different things for the week?
Yeah. I mean, I'll just kind of quickly go through, but we do our calendar. We transitioned open court this year, so that's our language arts, which has been great. And then recess, math, lunch. We do a read aloud after lunchtime. And then our handwriting is really intentional within first grade as well. And our writing, social studies, science. We do literacy centers, so those are differentiated. That's a whole block of time for kids.
Okay.
For small groups. And
What does
then
differentiated mean?
differentiated means is you're meeting the kids at their level.
Okay.
So let's say that's in reading, or there's a spectrum of kids that come in your classroom who are at different reading levels, or know letter sounds or don't know letter sounds.
Right.
And so you're meeting the kids where they're at specifically and grouping those kids in those homogeneous groups.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then pretty much the rest of the day is, we call it a secret recess in first grade to get the,
Yeah.
they think it's the best because it's only for first grade.
Can confirm. Had a first grader recently. Loves secret recess. Very annoyed that she does not have it anymore.
I know. And then we just do reading stamina the last part of the day. So, but yeah, just in general too, we have PE twice a week. We have music and art every other week. They go back and forth. We have library every week, language support, and first grade academy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Kim.
Yes.
So you're an admin now, but
Yes.
you are still the team lead for fifth grade,
I am.
and you've taught a lot of grades. And last year you taught fifth grade. So, on a high level, what does a day look like in the upper grades?
Okay, so it's really cool to hear Allie speak, because so many things are just traditional around Literacy First that it carries over. Fifth grade also starts with brain bins. We got a grant from PLEF a couple years ago because I made the jump from kinder to fifth. And when I made that jump, I had gotten so used to all the hands-on and the learning and the STEM bins and all these things. I'm thinking, well, why can't fifth grade do this? They're still little kids. They're still,
Right.
so 9 and
true.
10. I was like, I secretly just wanted to bring all my brain bins with me. I'm like, why does the fun have to just be in
Right.
kinder? So I brought my brain bins, but then my team didn't have them. So I
Okay.
did a grant through PLEF, and we were granted a bunch of brain bins. So fifth grade, we do a soft start. The kids come in and they play with their brain bins. It's really awesome. They come in, music is playing. It's time for them to just talk. I feel like as a fifth grade teacher, the kids want to talk. They're social.
Right.
So we let them get that time out purposely. We give them designated time to talk and collaborate. And also kiddos who maybe had a rough morning or a rough transition into the classroom, it gives them time to just be and be with their friends before we just dive into the learning.
Right.
So after brain bins, we do a morning meeting. So in fifth grade, we're really purposeful with our morning meetings. Every morning we sit down as a class, we sit in a circle. We have a talking piece. Mine was Froggy. It was a little frog puppet. Froggy is like the class favorite. But I ask any question from what's your favorite ice cream to what's your middle name to what made you smile over the weekend. And we pass Froggy around. They all get to talk once. Everybody knows when you have Froggy, you speak. When you don't, you don't. And those were one of the coolest things we did in 5th grade, because you have to break through with 5th graders. They don't want to just talk and tell you all about their life. So you have to set time aside for that. So we would do our morning meeting, and then we're ready to launch into our day. So from there, we take it to math, then we go to recess, then open core, our language arts, then lunch, and then our afternoons in the upper grades are a lot of rotations. So we have a specific history teacher, a science teacher, and an enrichment teacher. And the kids spend their afternoon rotating, kind of like a mini preview of what they'll do in 7th grade when they're like in modules. So they rotate in the afternoon. So our enrichment teacher teaches all of BizTown for 5th grade, because that's our big financial literacy. And then history is huge in 5th grade.
BizTown, explain.
Okay, BizTown's the greatest. If you've never been on the BizTown field trip, it's amazing. It's this junior achievement center in Mission Valley, and they've set it up to look like a small town. So you walk in, and the whole thing looks like a town. There's even a Jack in the Box. There's an NBC News. So cool. There's a SDG&E. There's Mission Fed Banking. There's everything. And it's an entire town ran by kids. So the kids prepare for their jobs. They have to write their paychecks. They have to buy their supplies. They have to do everything. They even dress the part. They have different
roles, right? Like
yes.
There's like the newscaster and the banker
it's
and
so cool.
the mayor. Yeah, okay.
So they apply for the jobs. They have to apply. We teach them how to do a resume, how to do a letter to apply, everything. And then us teachers sort through who gets, what job. And so they have to think, do I want to be a newscaster, or do I want to work at the radio station? There's even a veterinarian there. So they apply for the jobs, and we're teaching them how to approach, going after a job one day. And they even see how much the jobs pay and what they do and the hours. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
And so when we get there, the teachers, it's so amazing, because we just get to watch this entire town, and they're in their business suits and their Sunday best, and they're running around doing it.
That's so cool.
And there's a mayor of the town. There's even a police officer of the town who gives tickets if the kids are running in the building. That's awesome. It's Jack in the Box actually serves popcorn, so they're actually serving food.
Oh, cool.
And it's so cool, because by the time they get to their lunch break, these kids are like wiped out. They're like, Mrs. Pepin, that was hard. And I'm like, yeah, you have a new respect for your parents all day in their jobs.
That's great.
It's really cool. So BizTown's a big one. And then our other rotations are history. U.S. history is a huge part of 5th grade. That's when you're learning every state and capital plus the location of the state on the map. So our 5th graders come out, they can point to any blank map, they can point to the state, know what the state is, and know the capital. It's really cool. And then science is our other rotation, because 5th grade's their first year, the state science test.
Okay.
So the science test is every 3 years. So in 5th grade, it's a culmination of 3rd, 4th, and 5th science.
Got it. That's why they do it 5th, 8th, and 11th.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the 8th grade one would be a culmination of 6, 7, and 8.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's our afternoons in 5th grade.
Okay. Cool. So what we kind of talked about music. What are the other strategic tools that we use around here that help kind of manage a day in the class?
Callbacks. I think callbacks is a big one. Our teachers are not standing up there just like, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Instead, they'll twist it like, I say this, you say that, this, that, shh. And they're all quiet. So callbacks are huge. When I go into classrooms, I mean, you can't stay in a classroom and not hear callbacks. They're constant. Callbacks is a big one.
Yeah. I would say, I'm singing all day in my class. I'm doing my own songs and making them up, and the kids love it. Even to like line up we use music a lot to help us. I would say within the classroom, we also use a lot of movement. So like their attention span in 1st grade is between 6 and 7 minutes.
Right, exactly.
And so I'm using every space in my classroom to get them moving. We have tabletops when we stretch out our words. We have different areas in the classroom that mean different things for them.
Right.
So I would say that's really intentional.
That's
as well.
great point about what is developmentally appropriate for attention, but the length of time, the attention. So 5th grade.
Yeah.
What is the attention span of a 5th grader typically?
So 10 to 15 minutes. We try to hit their age level. So you got to think most kids in the class are 10.
Right.
If they have a really, really strong focus muscle, you can stretch like 15 minutes of direct instruction. I'm not saying our lessons are that short, but that's when you've got to give a slight break.
Yeah,
A
some
stand
kind of
up,
like-
a move, a do
yeah.
this, a call back. Sometimes it can be a full brain break. Then hit them hard again for another
What
15.
is a full brain break? Explain that.
Okay, so a full brain break, there's some really cool ones around our school. Some of them can be academic based. Some of them are just dance things.
chicken
Like,
fat.
yeah, Go Noodle, Just Dance. I've seen so many good ones, but it's just kids literally giving their brain a break. And it's really nice because it's kind of like we run the day in intervals. It's not just go, go, go all day. It's
Right.
They know when to listen, when it's direct instruction, and they know they get a break, and then direct instruction, and then break.
Right.
And it really helps curb the behavior and the attention of the kiddos, which is also why we use music. So when our voice is
Right.
on, it's time to learn.
Right.
And then the music's kind of our co-teacher. The music
Yeah.
can tell them to line up. The music can tell them to clean up. Because if we're talking,
Right.
it's academic based.
And so that's one thing that I've talked a lot about in the last year and a half is that your words are like an economy, right? Like we are all very aware of inflation at this point. It's a very, very obvious thing. No one's debating that the United States, we're in a serious inflation situation. And that's caused by too much money being flooded into a market and there being too many dollars. Therefore, prices go up because there's just too many dollars around. Same thing with words, right? So as a teacher, the more words you use in a room, the less value each word has.
Exactly.
The less words you use in a room, the more value each word has. Therefore, if you're using music to take the place of words, just like you said, when you speak, the value of your words have gone up. So like, let's say in a day, and I'm belaboring this because this is really valuable as parents as well. Like as you're parenting or even with your friends or any of those aspects, the typically you pay more attention to those who speak less. Like I talk a lot. I have to rein myself in. But I have friends who very rarely speak. But when they open their mouth, everybody stops and listens, right? And that's kind of the same thing that you guys are working on in the classroom is when you speak, you want the students in your classroom to understand this is valuable information. This is not just like, hey guys, be quiet, sit down, move, be quiet. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? That's all controlled by the music, and your words. Each word has meaning. Therefore, they're listening. So, and as parents, it's really important for us to understand because as we're parenting our kids, if we're constantly just talking at our kids, every word we use means less. And so, just as a reminder, and it's kind of a reminder for myself, the less words we can use as we speak or as we parent, the better. So anyway, sorry, my computer just did something weird and it kind of, there we go, we're good.
I tell my 5th grade teachers that all the time. I said, give it like a week or two teaching and write down the things you're constantly saying. So are you constantly telling them to line up? Are you constantly telling them to get out their paper and pencil? And then put a song to it.
Absolutely.
So switch it to a song, and then the whole year you're just pressing play, and they go do it. You're pressing play, and they go do it. But trying to find, like, as a parent, if you're saying every morning, go brush your teeth, go brush your teeth, just get a song for brushing your teeth, play it on a speaker in the kitchen, and let them all go brush their teeth and come back. Or you're going to say it every day, forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
And I feel like as a teacher, the one question that really drives us crazy that is asked every day is, I'm all done with this. What do I do when I'm done with this?
What do I do
just
next?
What do I do next? And so I actually implemented something this year and where I just had a list of the things that they can do when they're done. And then we talk really big in 1st grade about neurons and what's actually happening in their brain, which has been really cool because kids are just so hungry at this age for what's going on. And I think there's a trust there to be like, hey, it's going to be hard and you're going to have grit and stamina, but what's actually happening in your brain when you're doing something hard. So anyways, one of the things, the hand motions we made was we put our hands on our head like this, and then I point. So like train your brain, like with that, like what's happening with your neurons. So it's just a movement, and they're like, got it. Rather than, well, you could do this. That's a lot of talking every day with that. It's just a quick hand motion, and they're like, oh, that's right.
So hand motions, that's another strategy and another tool. That's great.
Yeah, for sure. And that's implemented too within the 8 keys of excellence that we use as well. So, and they know that really well.
What about our smart boards? How is that as a tool?
Smart words are great for me. I mean, from kindergarten, I used it all the time, standing in front of it and using it. And transitioning to 5th, you use it just the same.
Yeah.
So our smart boards, I mean, you could maybe explain it a little bit better from the tech side, but it's basically a giant screen at the front of the room. So when we grew up with just a whiteboard, and like the whiteboard was what the teacher had, the smart board is an interactive whiteboard. So your computer is displaying on the screen. It's also touch, so you can, utilize it, move things around, sound plays out of it. It's a fantastic tool. I think every teacher, if you walk around our classrooms, a lot of them all have rugs at the very front, right by their smartboard, because that's where a lot of the learning happens, is right there with the smartboard. Kids can even use it, so kinesthetically, they can come up like our everyday math games, and they can drag and drop and move the things. So they just get a kick out of using it.
Awesome.
And it's a really engaging tool. It makes our classrooms really shine. I mean, you walk in there and it's like top-notch tech, top-notch teaching, with the doc cams, the mics, the smart boards. I mean, every classroom.
What's a doc cam?
Okay, so a dot cam would be like the old school transparencies that you used to write on.
It's just a
so
camera,
now it's
right?
a camera.
Yeah.
So it's really cool because it's a camera. So whatever the teacher has maybe at their front desk, if it's a, say our math journal, in 5th grade, we'll put our math journal underneath it. And I can be solving problems in my math journal, and the kids all around the room can see because the camera is on my journal and
so
it's
it's like
displaying
live.
on the smartboard.
Yeah, so it's just a camera pointed straight down at the table.
It's cool.
And you just put, if the kids have their math book, you've got the exact same math journal, and you're just writing it down, and then they can see and they can follow you through the process.
Everything. Yeah.
Or if there's anything else you want to live teach, basically.
Yeah,
So,
you can even freeze it. They get a kick
Yeah.
out of that.
Yeah.
You can do like a really hard like long division problem and freeze it.
Right.
Let them all solve it on their whiteboard and be like abracadabra, and then
Right.
it unfreezes and they check their work and they just think it's hilarious.
and the smartboard is, as I'll explain a little more, I mean, it
Yeah.
even has a ton more built-in functions besides just mirroring your computer. I mean, there's actually, like at the high school level, there's bringing in all of these apps that are like physics-based stuff where it can help kids teach physics and things like that. And so, I mean, the smartboard is a phenomenal tool. It is effectively a massive touchscreen TV, but also has all kinds of built-in tools very specific for education. So cool. Any other fun, we got music, we got smartboards, we got hand motions, we've got, what other kind of tricks or strategies do you all use in the classroom?
From what I've seen in a lot of classrooms too, there's a lot of like attention getters that are like noise makers that, because you want a variety of things. It's not always music, because some kids, the music might be too much. You want to kind of give a variety. So some people have like little clickers that they wear on their lanyard, and they can like click, click, and the kids will listen. There's one teacher who would click it 3 times. That meant paper, pencil, name.
Oh, cool.
Paper, pencil, name. So they'd click it 3 times, and then you just see the kids do it, you know? We have, some people have a train whistle. We had those train whistles we would use. We have little like
Weren't those
chimes.
given out at a training week?
Yeah.
It's like everybody's blowing
So like
train whistles.
little,
Doorbell. We have a
we have
doorbell, too.
doorbells. A lot of people have doorbells.
Yep.
The doorbells are pretty cool. But anything that can make a noise and it means something specific, like a train whistle. My train whistle was always to line up because it was like we're getting on the train for recess.
What about like costumes? Because I know the recap. That's a thing, right? So explain the recap.
The recap. So it's kind of like a state change or a prop. So the recap is literally a cap, like a baseball cap you put on. So recap is to go back and review what you just learned. So if you teach this brilliant lesson, all about, colonies, and you're talking all about this in history, and then you stop and be like, okay, let's recap. And you throw on the recap and you just do a quick, literally maybe 30-second review of what you just taught, and then it's off. But you only do the recap when the cap is on.
Right.
So that triggers their brain that anytime they see their teacher in this cap, it's time to recap. So it's kind of a peg for teaching to use.
Can you talk about a little bit, because we do a lot of what's called quantum learning, quantum training. And one of the things that is really important in those trainings is understanding checks, or checks for understanding, and making sure that your students are following along with you. How do you do that, Allie, where you're assuring that what you're teaching is being absorbed by your kids?
Yeah. Well, I think it's like a process.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm always analyzing data, like I'm always analyzing the understanding of my students with data and taking notes. So it could be as simple as I teach this lesson and pair share with somebody, and I'm listening to them. That's also a little brain break for them with pair share. What did you take away from this? Or it's the like conversation where, okay, we get it or we don't. I think the check for understanding is really powerful within small groups.
Yeah.
That's where you're taking your bigger picture of your class, and now you're seeing this smaller group, and you're asking these questions, or you're playing a game.
Right.
That's where I see it. It's when I'm playing math games, or I'm doing a phonics game with them. And so I'm just taking quick notes. And that's where also the help of parents is a big thing too, where it's like, okay, great, this person needs help with tally marks. So as they come in, they can play that activity, things like that.
So can you break down the levels of data that you're acquiring? You sparked my mind because you don't have to get very specific, but I know that there's kind of informal, there's formal, there's all of these different data acquisition tools that we use, and this is part of the reason why Literacy First, if you compare us to the local schools, the nation schools, California schools, we thrive. And we are in the top, I'm not embarrassed to say, we are in the top 10, 5th percentile of schools in this state, and significantly above schools in San Diego County. It is what it is. We have data to back that up. But I think that's because of how deliberate you all and our teachers are in making sure that you're constantly gathering different varying levels of data. So what are those levels?
So I just briefly talked about the informal. I would say that's really important. The formal, we actually do quite a bit in first grade. There's sight words. So we have sight words assessment. We have reading assessments. We have our spelling tests with phonics base. We have math assessments. And then I think it's in springtime when we do our AIMS scores as well.
AIMS Web,
We do open court weekly assessments to tell us vocabulary, different things like that.
Cool.
And comprehension.
Kim, what about in 5th grade and the upper grades? What are the different assessment levels?
So a lot of the same similar ones. We do unit assessments a lot, but Ames Web we start right at the beginning. So Ames Web we do fall, spring, and winter in 5th grade.
Right.
So they're 3 times a year. Ames Web is a big one. Ames Web is instant results. You see them right away. You can categorize your class specifically down to different components within the subject. So there's a language arts, a reading one, and a math one. And so you get to see your kids instantly where they're at. We don't wait. No teacher waits, though, for that to know where their kids are at, because that comes in we still haven't taken it yet this year. But one thing, like Troy was saying and Allie was saying, is our teachers, what just fascinates me is how well they know the kids. They know exactly where they're at so we do mini quizzes in math. We do unit assessments in math. And it's not that we're just testing them nonstop. It's through just interaction, through small groups, and through just day-to-day informal learning. But any teacher at Literacy First right now, if you give them their class roster, they know everything about that child. Are they stronger in math? Are they stronger in language arts? Through even our morning meetings, they probably know their middle name and their favorite ice cream, and they know everything about these kids. And that goes back to the differentiation. Once you know your kiddos and know, okay, Troy's really good at this, but I got to do this different with him here. And you
he's really squirrely and attention. And
he really likes books about cars. Got to get more car books in the library. But once you find those things, that's where you really hit your stride with your classroom.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of exactly where our teachers are at right now. In 5th grade, we are sending out progress reports on Monday. So we're about halfway through first trimester. And not just 5th grade, any grade who gives letter grades. So 4th grade and above is sending them out. And it's kind of just the speed bump before we get to the stoplight of report cards. And we know exactly where the kids are at through we're with them all day. So even just thumbs up, thumbs down, stand in this corner of this, stand in this corner of this, small group, partner stuff. It's astonishing to me how quickly our teachers can go from looking at the list and not even knowing who the kids are.
Right.
And then 8 weeks in, it's like they've got every kid dialed in.
Absolutely.
It's pretty amazing.
And that's one thing you said is very important, because so I walk in and out of classrooms, and often when I'm walking in and out of in a classroom, it's to have a conversation with the teacher really quick, or to kind of try to talk to the teacher. I found that this year it's been really hard, because every time I walk into a classroom, teachers are actively teaching, but one thing I see a lot is that teachers break their kids into group and they have them in little rotations doing different things. And there's a teacher, and this is in 2nd grade, 1st grade, 5th grade, like across the board. There's a teacher in the back with 3 or 4 kids at a table going through little lessons, and they're doing their small group thing. And then they'll rotate and get a different group of kids. And they will have done that with every single kid every day almost. And that is incredibly valuable in getting to know our kids. So like all of the data you acquire, that little piece of just personal relationship and getting to know and watching your kids with your own eyes and how they're responding to an academic instruction, there's so much value to that in knowing how to teach each kid.
And I want to add to that too. I feel like we are really intentional at our school with student ownership and knowing where they're at in their data as well. And then like where they need to be, or we do data journals in first grade.
Right.
So it's like they know where their reading level is. They don't think it's this like, oh, I'm at a reading level C. They know what that is,
Right.
where they need to be, and they take ownership of that at student-led conferences, and they're literally just speaking their whole conference, and they know their goal, and it's really cool to watch.
Got it. So I mean, from what I'm learning and what I'm hearing is that what makes literacy first, there is not one thing. It's like 100 little things that all play together to make this place what it is. And it is incredibly difficult and takes a ton of training and practice and review and training and practice and review and retraining by teachers to kind of keep all of that stuff organized. Because to be honest, we've been talking for a little over 30 minutes and you guys have touched on a million aspects of your day. You organize your day by category. Each day is different. Kindergarten is half day, first grade is full day. You're dealing with that kind of stuff. You've got music, you've got hand motions, you've got different props that you use, you've got strategically placed lessons throughout the day. You've got different data that you're analyzing on every single second of your day, whether it's informal, formal, or otherwise. You've got personal relationships that are being built. You've got, oh my gosh.
It's very layered.
Oh my gosh. And honestly, that's just a small piece of it. This is a small piece of what you all and every teacher at this school goes through on a daily basis to truly make sure that our kids are known and that they are, literate citizens in this country. So, what are some specific things that you are able to use or that you've learned here at Literacy First specifically that you kind of think is different? What is the opportunity? What opportunities has LFCS given you that keeps you here?
For training? For training specifically?
No, just like
in general.
Yeah, what are you able to do here that is a
That's
positive?
A big question.
I'll start.
Yeah, this is a good one.
That is a positive impact on kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you here? Like, why is this the place?
Yeah. So when I first came here as a first year teacher, the expectation's high here.
Yes.
But you're not just thrown into the ocean to figure out how to swim. And so I love how our school formats this idea of a lead teacher. And so that really helped me be like, I'm shadowing somebody's checking in on me. Here are the standards of the grade. Here's what we do. It's not just you're on your own island. You're actually a part of a family, of a team.
Yeah.
And we share ideas. And I think that's where a lot of the power of Literacy First is, because a lot of schools are not like that. And you're very much on your own.
Right.
And you're trying to look better. And it's not a show here. It's we do things well and we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that for Literacy First, of how well we are trained and how there's a lead teacher. I'd also say the 8 keys is a really cool thing for our school. That's like the heart of our character. So
I agree. This year is an interesting year for me because I have 2 teachers on my team who are coming from public school, and they've been in public school for a long time. I'm talking like 10 plus years.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And they are shocked at everything we do. They can't believe that there are teams and that we focus so much on grade level teams and that there's organization to it with a lead teacher and just how much we do. And I think that is the Literacy First difference.
Yeah.
In a public school, every teacher's just in their own room, handing out the same worksheet they've done for years. They're kicked up, they're chilling, they're doing their thing, right? And at Literacy First, it's not like that. Every classroom is quality learning and quality instruction. And as I just walk through the hallways now, that's kind of been a cool part of switching to site admin is I see more of the campus instead of just my classroom. And I even have even more a newfound love and respect for Literacy First because I'm like, whoa, this is brilliant teaching. This is amazing learning. Every classroom is purposeful and quality and just organized, and it's just top tier. It's really excellent. And that's not the case everywhere. When you have a school where kids are just zoned in and dropped off and they show up every day no matter what, there's not that push to be great and have that level of greatness. And I feel at Literacy First, we're not just, okay, the kids come, they arrive, we teach them, they leave. Everything we do is, times 1,000, even down to our events. We don't halfway do anything.
Right.
Well, and I feel very invested in as a teacher from admin and from Debbie. I just feel like I'm not by myself. I feel very invested in and it feels really good as a teacher to feel seen and supported.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a really tight knit place. I mean, we take it back to training week when we all first meet, and like clockwork, here comes every grade level and their matching T-shirts, and like it's
Right.
just such a cool community. I told Keo when he retired, I'm like, you did not give me a job, like you gave me a family, and it was like the most meaningful thing, because this doesn't feel like a job for me. It doesn't feel like work for me. It really just feels like I'm going home each day. I'm with my family. It's turned into that, and that's because of the people.
Oh, so true.
The million reasons of why I would stay at Literacy First, but 100% it's the people. The people are phenomenal from the very top. Training week, what they provide for us, everything is just amazing.
Agreed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, changing gears. How important are parent helpers?
You go first
So
on this, because
important.
first grade is huge with this.
Right?
It's huge. I mean, we love parents. I always say in every dojo message that I give out is we couldn't do this without you. And it doesn't have, there's again a spectrum of volunteering and being a part of their child's like school life.
Right.
They could donate. They could to our fun monthly events that we do, or they could cut paper for us,
Right.
you know, for a project. It is that stuff we wouldn't be able to do and bring the magic into the classroom truly without the parents.
Right.
And so I try as a teacher to also post a lot of pictures and video of the magic in the classroom if they're not able to come in, because this is what they were able to provide by getting candy corn at the store or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's that to coming into the classroom, volunteering, being innovative. Hey, what do you think about if I do an apple rotation on tasting different apples? That's great. Let's do it. So, or helping the students with, you know, various needs of math and reading. So
Right.
it is key. It is like,
huge.
it is such a partnership, and that's why that's just so important as a teacher to build that relationship with parents.
Do you see a direct correlation between having parents in the classroom and student success?
Oh,
Maybe specifically
yes.
their student success.
Yes.
So the more parents are around, the more their kid will succeed.
Yeah.
I would say yes within the classroom, but even if parents are asking me
home.
questions.
Yes,
So
yes.
if they are involved even in asking me, hey, do you have any books at their reading level seat? Yes, I will give you all the books that you need.
Yeah.
So I don't know the needs of the parents if they don't have those at home.
Right.
But if parents are asking curious questions, I am 110% there to give that to them.
Right.
But I don't know that unless they ask. So I would
Right.
say even just that parent involvement of asking those curious questions,
Yeah.
I've seen a difference in the kids as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
What do you
I agree with that 100%, because it's not just them necessarily coming in. If they can, that's wonderful. And I know a lot of our parents can. But I do feel like my students across the board, the ones who have been the most successful, are the parents that are really involved, even if that's just through communicating.
Right.
It's the parents who are signing the test and returning the test and communicating and, you know, checking their planner. The older kids go home with a planner every day, and I can tell the parents who are checking it and making sure they're studying. Or the kids will come to school and be like, oh, I had to do my history vocab with my parents last night. And I'm like, that's great. Like, that's a parent who looked at the newsletter, knew the
Right.
history test was coming, and worked on the vocab. And even just, or played Jeopardy with them. We do a lot of stuff on Google Classroom for the older grades. But you can tell the parents who are actively involved with the kiddo, it's a direct correlation with
Right.
their success. And even like, I know my kiddos go here and I can't be in a classroom, you know, working with them. But like first grade just did all their bats. They did a bat poem. And so I took home the bats for Miss Zucconi to cut out. And just my son seeing me in the living room cutting out the bats was like, are those Miss Zucconi's scissors? And she gave you the bats, and it was just cool for him to see. And then instead of me giving it to the teacher next day, I put it in his backpack, and to see his face when he got to deliver those bats to the teacher just made it feel connected. And he's telling his friends, like, you know, those bats were at my house last night, you know?
So the kids are like, my mom cut those out.
my
And
mom
we're
cut
like,
those.
Thank you. Like, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It means
cool.
everything to them. And to know that their parents are helping their teacher just reiterates to them how they should be helpful to their teacher and they should be respectful. It's
awesome.
It's a cool connection.
Cool. Lastly, last question. What else, if anything, do you have to share with the parents who listen to this podcast about Literacy First, and then what happens in a classroom? Or is there anything on your heart that you would like to make sure that all of our parents understand about you, about what goes on around here?
I would just say we're on the same team. So, like, I love partnering with parents. It's one of the things that as a teacher, I think we go to college classes and learn how to teach students, but there wasn't ever a class of how to communicate to parents and how to partner with them. And I've learned a lot of that through Literacy First and how much partnering with parents is important.
Yeah.
So I would say we're on the same team. And if you have any questions or need any resources, I know the teachers mean it when they say we want to help and provide for your child.
Yeah.
And so don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to, write it on a sticky note or send a quick message, because we're here for you and your child.
Awesome.
I think pretty along the same lines of really make the most out of this school year. If your kiddo's in second grade, they only get second grade once. They only get fifth grade once.
Yeah.
It goes fast. As a mom who's getting older kids now, I realize, whoa, there went elementary school, there went kindergarten.
Yeah.
Get involved, stay involved, and just communicate. Trust our teachers are phenomenal people, and they are humans. They are good people with good souls, and get to know them. Email them, communicate with them. There's not a wall up between, teacher and parent.
Nope.
Our teachers want to hear from you. It's actually more eerie when you send an email and it's crickets. No one responds. It's like, is anyone there? We don't mind hearing from you. We love that. We don't know your questions if you don't ask them.
Right.
We can't read your mind. If you're concerned, if you need clarification, just communicate, because truly it is a partnership and it has to stay like that to be successful. So I think just as parents, if you are waiting to get involved this year, don't let first trimester go by and then Christmas, and get involved and help out, and it makes all the difference.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. This
is fun.
This has been very insightful. See, was it scary?
Yeah, it was still terrifying. But
we didn't really know where to go or how to get in the building.
I think we did a good job.
But we did okay.
Once you got to the right campus, it was a good time.
Yeah,
it was a rocky
we made
morning.
it.
All right. Well, thank you both very much
Thanks,
for being
Troy.
here. This is fantastic. I think that I myself and every listener is hugely blessed by what you guys just said. So thank you again. And on that note, LFCS out.